Lamar Jackson is a two-time MVP. Lamar Jackson is the all-time leading rusher among quarterbacks. Yet, for whatever reason, unlike Patrick Mahomes, if his career ended today, it would still feel like he's missing something. The Ravens have been chasing their third Lombardi since coming into the league in 1995 for over a decade now. Yet with Lamar Jackson, it feels more attainable than ever. They are number 3 on this ranking right here. They have a very legitimate chance to take advantage of the great quarterback that is on their great roster. At some point they have to do it, and I think now might be just as good of a time as any. It's no secret that Lamar is one of one. His rushing ability is unparalleled by any other field general in the history of the sport. And he's taken huge strides as a passer in Todd Monken's offense. He's so great at extending plays, and receivers take advantage by getting open downfield. He targets the safeties a lot, throwing down the sideline against single high very often. And defenses are kind of forced to run those single high looks because of how good this rushing attack is, right? Lamar Jackson, we already talked about how great of a running threat he is, but then Derrick Henry is the best running back that we've seen since Adrian Peterson. He obliterates opposing defenses on the ground. He is untackleable, putting some of these guys up front. I mean, Tyler Linderbaum, Ronnie Stanley. That's a good offensive line that is going to push you around. You have to stack the box, because if you don't, they are going to carve you up on the ground. This is why they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, to win one-on-ones at the catch point down the field. Because when teams are forced to run those one-high defenses, all of a sudden, their corners are going to be left on islands a lot more often. Okay? And if they're not left on islands, then that's when we might see Zay Jones hit around the edge on a gadget play, a jet sweep, a touch pass, right? That's when we might see Rashad Bateman do some work underneath. Both of those guys can also do some damage as deep threats down the field. Zay Flowers especially, with his speed, with his route running ability, he can get open deep downfield. And them forcing the defense's hand like that into a one-high type of look, that allows guys like DeAndre Hopkins, who they just added, to make big plays down the field at the catch point. That allows Zay Flowers to make plays down the field using his speed, using his route running ability. They are going to carve you up with the run game, and when defenses start to overplay that, that's when the receiver room is really going to do its damage. Even the tight ends can be considered deep threats. Mark Andrews had the highest average depth of target among tight ends with 40-plus targets. Isaiah Likely is the second tight end. He's a weapon at all levels while also being a great blocker. He's one of the most well-rounded tight ends that you'll find, and they'll even line up fullback Pat Ricard to help bolster this running game. I don't think there's a single defense in football that will see Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Pat Ricard in the same backfield, and that huge, big offensive line, and say we're not worried about the run game. Because the fact is, every defense is going to be worried about that rushing attack. Every defense is going to pull out all the stops to go ahead and somewhat restrict Derrick Henry, at least try and prevent him from going over 100 yards, even though he likely will. They do so much damage to you in that way. And they're going to run it down your throat. Okay, they are going to run up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. And when you start to get everyone focused on stopping that, that's when they'll throw a toss his way. And that's when Derrick Henry will really carve you up. He'll go for a big play. He'll go for 70 yards, right? Because the speed is a little bit better than he gets credit for. Everyone knows he can't get tackled, but people underestimate his ability to beat defenders to the edge. Derrick Henry is going to wear you out and then throw that final punch with a big sweep for 50 yards. Okay, that's how the Ravens like to operate. They like to physically beat you down on the offensive end, and then they'll use the pass game as a way to really complement that. Lamar Jackson has improved in that way. He's gotten a lot better as a passer down the field. Todd Monken has done wonders for him as a pocket passer. And then the defensive side of the ball is also really, really good, featuring quite possibly the NFL's best secondary. The Ravens will do damage to you. Zach Orr is going to throw a lot of disguise coverages your way, just like the old defensive coordinator, who's now the Seahawks head coach, Mike Macdonald. He is going to disguise so many different coverages, and everything is going to change from pre-snap to post-snap. They're going to run some split field coverages, meaning you're going to see match quarters, okay? You're going to see the defense react to what the offense is doing. You're going to see some cover six. They are going to do one thing on one side of the field and then a different thing on the other. They're going to do that very often. And Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks as the safeties complement that style of play so well because they are versatile, right? They can be a high safety for you. They can play in the box. You could have them drop back into a deep half, but you could also have them blitz. No matter what they do, though, they're going to do it very well. It was dangerous enough when Kyle Hamilton was the one guy doing it. Now with Malachi Starks doing the same thing, my Lord, they are going to carve teams up just with that safety duo alone. But then you also add a superb cornerback trio. I mean, 3 corners that are really lockdown guys. Marlon Humphrey had a great season in the slot. Jair, when he's healthy, is still a very, very good corner. It's just health has been an issue for him. And Nate Wiggins had a very solid rookie year. Quarterbacks are going to have to hesitate a little bit because of all the disguise coverages. And when you have guys that lock up any receiver core either way, great things are going to happen. Great things are going to happen. And then up front, you have one of the best coverage linebackers in Roquan Smith, someone who will lock up people in coverage and then clean up any run plays that do get past the defensive line. And then Trenton Simpson, who's another versatile type of guy. You'll see him blitz. You could see him play on the line a little bit. And he could also cover off ball. He's a very well-rounded linebacker with a wide skill set. Then their edges are guys who could drop back or rush. In Kyle Van Noy, who was doing that exact thing pretty much his whole career with the Patriots. He likes to drop back into coverage, but he could also blitz pretty well. Odafe Owe is a similar play, although he's a lot bigger. He's there more to defend the run. On the interior, they have their best pass rusher in Nnamdi Madubuike. And then Travis Jones is a very athletic, big run defender. They also have depth on the defensive line with guys like Broderick Washington, David Ojabo, and 2 rookies in Mike Green and Aeneas Peebles. If those guys can rotate in and really play at a high level, let's say Mike Green has a stout rookie year, they are going to really be good. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about the pass rush here. I am. I don't think it's a great pass rush, but the secondary is so good, it definitely won't matter too much. However, if the pass rush can be a good attack, this might be the best defense in football. If Mike Green can have a defensive rookie of the year caliber season, oh my Lord, the Ravens are going to do damage. They are. That secondary we know this run defense is good, but on top of that, a good pass rush, they are going to disintegrate teams, right? Zach Orr is also going to use some creative blitzes here. He's going to use some creative sim pressures because that's what Mike Macdonald was all about. He's a Macdonald disciple. He's going to do similar stuff. Overall, it's a disguise-heavy defensive unit with arguably the best secondary in the NFL and a good run-defending front with some high-potential guys on the bench to help bolster that pass rush and a very run-heavy offensive unit that seems like it's nearly unstoppable on the ground. That seems like a pretty good formula for success. Let's see how they could do in the wins and losses column, though. The Ravens are very dependent on their dominance in the run game. They want to run the ball effectively, so a team goes down into a 1-high look instead of a 2-high shell, and then they're able to pass the ball a lot off of that. But if a team is very strong up front against the run, then they won't have to make that shift. And those are going to be the teams that give the Ravens a lot of trouble. But they still have 12 wins, so there's not going to be too many teams that are able to do that. The Bills, I think, will try and do that type of thing. I think this is going to be a better matchup for Buffalo because if there's any formula for their defense to have a very good game, it would be something like this, where they simply just have to match what the opposing team is doing. They're not going to get outskilled at the receiver position, right? I am generally worried about the depth in the secondary for Buffalo, but I don't think the Ravens receiver core is good enough for me to be worried about that in this matchup. This game is in Buffalo, so I'm giving them the edge. I think it's two great quarterbacks going up against each other, but I think the Bills are just able to get one more stop than the Ravens. So I'm taking Buffalo at home. Then I think the Ravens beat the Browns. The Browns just aren't good. It's that simple. They still don't know who their quarterback is at this point in the season. All the different looks they're going to have. If Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel is out there, they're not going to play too well against such a disguise-heavy team. The Ravens are at home. I'm sorry, I just don't see the Browns winning that one. Detroit can give them trouble because they have that type of run defense that could really do a lot to you. But I also think that this is a Detroit team that wants to run a one-high look anyway. Terrion Arnold might win a couple of those reps, right? He might be able to stop the big play a couple of times, but when Zay Flowers does inevitably get by him, Zay Flowers is going to get a huge play. I think the Ravens win that one. I don't love that matchup for Detroit. KC, I think that KC is still a really damn good team. Like, really damn good. They're the home team here. I don't think they're going to underestimate Lamar Jackson. I think early in the season they're going to have some plays in mind that they're going to be practicing during the offseason to get ready for this specific game. I think the Chiefs are going to go ahead and win this one. I think the Texans are a team that maybe can give them some trouble, but I don't think they're good enough against the run. I don't think the Texans are good enough against the run. I think now with Jair Alexander, just how good their secondary is, well, the Texans aren't going to win on the offensive line. And against that great of a secondary, I don't think they're going to win with their receiver core. So I just don't think they're going to be able to score that much. I just don't love the matchup for Houston here. I don't think they could stop the run well enough. I don't think they could block up a pretty pedestrian pass rush for the Ravens. If you make that pass rush look great, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. And this is a bad enough offensive line for that Ravens defense to look great in terms of their pass rush. I do think Sean McVay is going to have answers for this disguise-heavy scheme, though. We saw him beat up on Mike McDonald a couple years ago. I don't see why he won't be able to beat up on a lesser defensive coordinator running the same system in Zach Orr. I think the Rams are going to drop 40, really. Then they're off the bye week. Ravens, I think, go on a huge winning streak here, right? I think the Bears, they're going to run a lot of softer coverage, but I don't think they could defend the run well enough. I don't think they have enough guys to stop Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, all these guys in the backfield. Then I think the Ravens are going to continue to win, right? Dolphins, who do they have to stop this rushing attack? No one. Vikings might be better against the run, but I think Lamar Jackson can make some magic happen. I don't think they have guys that are going to be able to keep up with Lamar Jackson, really prevent him from playing MVP ball. I just have this being a Lamar Jackson MVP type of performance, but maybe the disguises get to him. Maybe he throws some picks. I could see the Vikings winning this one for sure, but I'm leaning towards Baltimore. They're coming off a mini bye after all. It's not like they have to really worry about their upcoming games, right? You got the Browns, you got the Jets, you got the Bengals. Bengals have maybe the worst defense in the NFL. Jets are going to fight you hard. I could see an upset here, but all the blitzes and stuff, I think Zay Flowers will eventually get by one of the corners for a big play. DeAndre Hopkins gets by one of those corners for a big play. Maybe I could see the upset there, but I just think Lamar Jackson against a blitz-heavy team, I think that normally goes well. Then the Browns, we talked about it. I just don't think the Browns are good enough. If the Browns win, it's just an upset. The Ravens underestimated them. It comes down to that. The Steelers, I think, are bound to win one of the two matchups. One of them, they kind of have had Lamar Jackson and the Ravens number for a while now, Mike Tomlin. But I don't think they'll win both. I think Week 18, this will be an important game for seeding. And I think the Ravens will win that second one. I still think that Bengals defense is really, really bad. Lamar Jackson is going to ball out against them, and they'll just be able to run the football well, right? They'll just be able to run the football well. The secondary is going to be good enough to limit Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And because of that, well, now the Ravens are going to win with their pass rush because this is a bad Bengals offensive line. The Bengals don't really have answers. This isn't a good matchup for them, and it's against a division rival. I think the Ravens win both of those two. Patriots, I think this one's generally an upset. I mean, you win multiple games straight from week 8 to week 15. That's 7 straight wins. Or, sorry, to week 13. They have a big win streak going on there. I guess the Steelers break it, but I think they're bound to get caught again. It's either going to be that Jets game or that Patriots game. I think the Patriots game will be the one. I think the Patriots are going to be fighting hard later in the year. And I think the Ravens are really just bound to get caught off guard one more time. The placement of this game, as playoffs are just about to come up, I think makes sense for a trap game. The Packers, I don't think they're good enough on the defensive side of the ball. On the defensive front, I don't think they're going to be able to hold up against that run game. And I think the Ravens and Steelers will split. So I have the Ravens winning that second one. This game will mean a lot for Pittsburgh, but for the Ravens, it's going to mean a lot if they could potentially knock the Steelers away from their win streak or streak of seasons over 500. And I think this season might come down to that for them. So I have the Ravens winning that last one. Overall, the Ravens are a really good football team. There's no doubt about it. They're a really good football team. I love the pieces they have running the football. I love the scheme defensively, and I love that secondary. I think that's a formula for a lot of wins, especially with an MVP caliber quarterback. Baltimore's really good. Excited to see what they could do throughout the season. Thank you all again for watching. I'll see you next time.